That way we can catch up on notes. I'll talk to Fabio, okay?
Thank you so much.
Are we okay with timing now? Okay, the time is 9:03. The date is the 28th of April 2006. At this time, I am calling the meeting to order with respect to the Grey Bruce OPP Detachment Board. With respect to the territorial acknowledgement, Madam Clerk or Administrator, excuse me, if you could be kind enough to.
Absolutely. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge with respect the history and living culture of the Anishinaabe, the people of the three fires known as the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi Nation who have inhabited this land from time immemorial. We recognize that these lands are the territories of the Chippewa of Saugeen and the Chippewa of Nawash, collectively known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, the keepers of this land. Georgian Bluffs is located on lands encompassed by treaties 45.5, 67, 72, 82, and 93. We reflect on our role as treaty people and the need to live in respect and peace and show respect to the First Peoples who inhabit these lands and waters.
Thank you very much. I'd like to acknowledge and offer the condolences on behalf of our board to the family and to the OPP for the recent death of Sergeant Brandon Malcolm of the OPP. I understand the detachment is in Cobra. With respect to the approval of the agenda, recommend that it be approved. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at it? I take it. Any questions arising from it?
I'll move to motion. Approve.
Second. Okay. Member Dowd, all in favor? Opposed, if any? None. Okay, approved. Does any member have a declaration of pecuniary interest, conflict of interest to declare? I see none. We've approved the minutes. We're into public participation. Any person who wishes to make a presentation to the board must register with the board administrator at least 10 days in advance of the scheduled meeting. I thought we did. I'm sorry. The minutes have been approved.
Chair Solage, we just need a mover and a seconder for the
sorry?
minutes. We just need a mover and seconder for the minutes.
Is there a mover for the minutes to be approved? Yes. Member McQueen, and a seconder? Member Wood. All in favor? Opposed, if any? None opposed? Approved. Any person who wishes to make a presentation to the board must register with the board administrator at least 10 days in advance of the scheduled meeting. To register, you can complete the online form, which is Grey Bruce OPP Detachment Board /delegations, or call the board administrator at area code 519-376-2729, extension 601. I'd like to welcome Police Constable Cody Lyons. Is that?
Yes, correct.
Okay, welcome to the board. We have a quorum, you'll see on the screen. And I saw earlier that it looked like Sergeant Phelan was on there too. I'm not sure he's still up there or not. Okay. Any person who wishes to appear before the board regarding an item on the agenda must register with the board. To register, you can complete the online delegation form. Call the board administrator at 519-376-2729, extension 601, or register in council chambers prior to the meeting start time. delegations today. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Good morning. Again, I'm Constable Cody Lyons, and I am the Media and Community Engagement Officer with Grey Bruce. I was asked to attend here today to talk about our media releases and a lot of the community engagement events that we do. When we talk about media, there's an understanding of maybe trying to get the members here informed a little more on what's going on in the media releases I put out. So I think we've had a solution for that as well that I'll discuss here in the presentation. Anybody's any questions, raise your hands and ask right away. We don't need to save this to the end. I always say that in my spiel. I like to talk, I like to answer questions. I think I've been here now, well, I'm in my 12th year policing. Didn't start with the OPP, started with Peel Region, but did just shy of 5 years there. Then I patched over to the OPP, made some really good friends at the police college, and they convinced me to make the switch, and I'm happy I did ever since. I live just outside of Grey County here while I live in Durham. And I've been the media officer now for about a year and community engagement for about a year now. So I'm enjoying it. Oh, let's see if we get that. It was working, yeah.
Try again.
Okay. There we go. Okay. So just talking a little about our media release. So just on my end. So when I get in the morning, I try to run our calls for service, or I've asked officers in our area to task me with events that's happened. So either arrests that happened that night, or something that they want me to be made aware of. You probably saw a lot of stuff in social media right now with the suspect out there, property crime, stealing the UTV and everything. So I'm trying to pull as much information I can from our officers, and I'm trying to get that out there to the public. So again, this morning I came in, I ran our calls for service. There was an impaired arrest last night, and there was a drugs arrest yesterday that I'm still working on. But on my end, this is what I see. So we have something called the OPP News Release Portal. All right. And accredited media agencies can log on here. So rather than me just having a database of news agencies and me sending out emails directly to them, we have the OPP News Release Portal. All right, so this helps that everybody, every news agency gets the release at the exact same time, to be fair. So on my end, right, there'll be a way where the news agency can log on to read the news releases, or on my end, I log on. So once I log on my end, there we go. So this is what I see. So this is all of West Region. So this isn't just Grey Bruce. So as you can see here, Wellington County put out a traffic complaint for an impaired driver, ride program in Middlesex, Brant County, and Middlesex. So I can see everywhere in West Region that is putting out their media releases. If I wanted to search, I could find more. So Central Region, Northeast Region, but we have it right now for the West Region. So this is on my end what it looks like. So I'm just showing everybody here. So if I wanted to add a new article, I might just have to tell you to, oh, there we go, it worked now. So I draft up the article. This one here was the break and enter, where our community street crime unit located a bunch of the stolen property, about $43,000 worth. So I draft up the media release, I put the pictures on it, and then I submit it to the portal that we just saw. And then once I hit the submit button, any media agency that has signed up for it, it'll get to their inbox. All right. In this one, I did take the names out, but a lot of people ask all the time is do we add the names? So in these new media releases I put out to the agencies, we do actually name the people. So where it says an 18-year-old, it would say their name, which I just removed because I'm doing the presentation today, how old they are, where they're from, and the charges that they have. All right. And then it's up to the news agency if they want to continue with the name or not. All right, this is a lot of the questions I always get from the public when I'm doing speaking as well as, and we see it in the social medias. Why don't you name them? Why don't you name them? So we actually do name them in our news releases to the media. So how to access. When I was talking to the detachment commander, inspector, we were thinking of a way of trying to keep the members here maybe informed. So what I found out is that yes, it has to be accredited media agencies only. However, though, if the inspector requests, we can get municipalities to gain access to it. What we would request though is that the municipality generates a generic email rather than having it to be one specific person. Because once they get the access, it's hard to get them off on our end. So if it was one generic email from the municipality, then no matter how many people go into that role, it's always going to that one single email. Yeah, rather than, you know, it being me and then I leave the municipality and somebody else and then it being their email. So if members here would like access or be added to the news release portal, probably just message either the inspector or me, and then I can, and on my end, get you added to the portal. We just ask though that you don't publish your articles. It would just be more for informational pieces on what's going on to keep everybody informed. Any questions so far?
I guess it just raises a point, if one of the members read something that ought not to be shared publicly, if it came up in one of our meetings, that would be inappropriate.
Yeah, so I mean, the releases that we put out go to the news agencies, right? So, and then I put a social media post talking about it as well. We probably just don't ask that you just copy and paste the article, right? That you just hopefully stress to your members or whoever you're going to be putting on there that it's just more for information.
But you're not stating the facts, all you're doing is stating the charge.
The charge, yeah. A lot of the evidentiary stuff is what we leave out, right? Because that's before the courts. It's just the facts, like you said, called for an impaired driver, officers got there, started an impaired investigation. So-and-so was arrested for, you know, X, Y, and Z, and they were released or held for bail.
And you're aware of, obviously, if it's a YO, that you're not going to name them anyway.
No, young offender. Age we probably would put in, but we would say maybe young offender or a youth, right? Charged on the criminal justice act. There is criteria too, so when it comes to intimate partner violence as well, there's only so much we can put out because we need to protect the identity of the victim. And usually when it comes to intimate partner,
there's generally an order on that anyway.
yeah, exactly, right? Anything with a publication ban, we can't put out anyways, and we would say that as well. So most times when I get in the morning, if we have released somebody from the scene, so on an undertaking, that is basically a document that's before the court, so there's no publication ban yet, so I'm able to put that news release out. Yeah. So part of that too is social media. So I said, so I put it into the portal. Right after I submit to the portal, I go onto our social media accounts. So we currently have 3, Facebook, Instagram, and X. All right, here's all our handles here, I guess. OPP West for Facebook, OPP_West, and then OPP West Region for X. All right. And sure, if you're not following, I would encourage to follow our social media as well, because there is sometimes stuff that we put out on our social medias right away that don't warrant a media release yet to the portal. So whether that be a multi-vehicle MDC that we're trying to get out to the public that the road is closed right away and that the investigation's ongoing, we put it into our socials right away. We use our hashtags, so hashtag Grey Bruce OPP, hashtag Grey OPP as well for social media accounts. I don't know if the members here have different, well, social media or hashtags that I could maybe tie in, say if we're going to a community event, I could hashtag in municipality of Grey Highlands, right? If that's something that goes to your guys' social media page. Yeah. So if I was doing an event there, bike rodeo or whatnot, hey, this is what's going on today. Hashtag Grey OPP, right? Yeah. So, but yes, we do have the 3 accounts that we post on. Comments are left off on there. That's just an SOP that we have, a policy. But it is also a great way, as we say, with the suspect that we are looking for right now currently with those break-in enters and the stolen UTV. It's a great way to get the messaging out there to the public, just to be on the lookout and call in. So media-wise, that's how we get all our information out there. Yep.
So time when that gentleman was missing at Ingles Falls, you'd be on here right away.
Yeah, so it would definitely be a policy. So recently, I'd say probably for a year now, the OPP have hired PIAs, so they're public information advisors. So they're civilians that worked at maybe a news agency prior, or a magazine or something, but they're hired full time to the OPP now. They're out of Aurelia, and they are monitoring social media as well. So when it comes to like a missing person, a priority one, since I am the only media officer here in Grey Bruce, that we can lean on them for assistance to get that messaging out there even faster. Or if it's in the middle of the night, we can activate that PIA and they can put the messaging in as well. But yes, for the gentleman in English Falls, then yeah, we could put it out here. So
that would have went on there right away.
yeah, so the PIA would have drafted it up and then it's got to go through the chain of command for approvals to upper management and people up there. And then it would have been posted to our social medias.
And I guess the reason I say that, because sometimes timing for the initial, like somebody who's missing from a family's perspective and stuff, just to get it out there quickly or quicker maybe, just so people keep, eyes and ears and looking and, somebody's missing or somebody's, you know what I mean? Like it's,
Yes.
but I understand you have a delay,
Yeah.
but sometimes at certain circumstances, delay could cause
Oh,
trouble.
for sure. And I think that's, the PIA, I think it is a beneficial program, especially during the night. Rather than me getting the call, which I get called out for and getting my computer ready, the PIA is right there to start that process already and getting those approvals. So when it comes to like benchmark stuff, we have to get approval over here and then we go up the corporate command in OPP. And then once we get the go ahead, then we can put it on our social medias in the portal.
I guess more importantly is if there's a missing child or there's an abduction or something like that, that seems to get ratcheted up as well quickly too, right?
Yep. Yeah.
That's almost like an alert or something goes out.
An Amber Alert, yeah. So there's a threshold for that to be met as well.
Right.
And then if it meets that criteria, then an Amber Alert goes out.
First thing in the morning, people look at their phone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. See what happened over the night, right?
How about you look at stock markets?
Is that?
Look at the stock markets.
You're not supposed to do that. It's just crazy.
So community engagement, this is the other half of my job here. So like I said, I try to get the media releases done in the morning and then I get out to my events during the day. So in the next couple slides there, I talk about a lot of the ones that I routinely go to and the benefits of it. Like I said, we got the Polar Plunge there, Remembrance Day. The hockey game was actually from the Polar Plunge as well. We did a charity fire versus OPP game. There we go. So I don't know how many people know about the Saugeen Valley Children's Safety Village. It's in West Gray. It's just south of Hanover there. They talk about community helpers, 911, personal safety, farm safety, fire safety. If you haven't had a chance to get out there, it's actually very impressive of what they run. So I go down whenever a school from our area goes down for the day. So last week, McPhail sent their JKSKs down there, and I talk about the community helper stuff. So I'm always in the classroom when we talk about community helpers, online safety. And then at the end of our presentation, the kids get to go out in the village and drive the electric cars. So we talk about sort of, how to drive a car safely, put your seatbelt on, right? Try to obey a stop sign. As they get on to grade 1 or 2, they move to scooters. So we talk about bike helmet safety, how to put a helmet on properly, hand signals and stuff like that. So I feel like this is a very important one because it's important to get out there and engage with the youth, right? Friendly face to the badge. So anytime that a school here in Gray or Bruce is attending the Safety Village, I try to get down there. We've had our K9 come out and do a presentation as well. This is one of the March break camps I think they had. But that's just sort of a rundown of what on the police side when I go we talk about. But yes, they also do farm safety and fire safety as well. The Wyerton Bike Bus. Anybody heard of that here? So for the past couple years now, I've taken part in the Wyerton Bike Bus. It's community-led in encouraging kids to bike to school in the morning. So every Wednesday, I believe it starts up next week or 2 weeks. Every Wednesday in the morning, we meet on a certain street. The kids come, we do our bike safety talk. We make sure the bikes are all working, the ABCs, air, brakes, and chains. And we bike the route to school and we pick up kids along the way as well. So I've been doing that for the past 2 years. Right, as you can see the picture there, got the shorts on. There's our kids at the start. There's always a handful that we pick up along the way. It's just a short little quick route, but we're encouraging kids to be outside and not take the bus all the time. And just another way to engage with the youth. So I try to make a note there to Wyerton every Wednesday morning. I report out of the Markdale detachment, so I do a lot of driving, but it's worth it. So. In schools, we have a great relationship with our schools here and our school boards. I have the privilege of basically being able to just go into the schools and say hello. I just let the principal or the front desk staff know that I'm there. I don't really have to plan ahead or send lessons. I know in other school boards or in other areas, officers are not allowed in unless they give a 2-week notice. Parents have to be notified that police are coming in and what they're doing. And if one parent says no, then they're not allowed in anymore. So we have a very good working relationship with our school boards right now.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I'm just happy that I can get in there and engage with these youths and stuff. Like there'll be some times where I'll just go to the high schools during lunch and I'll set up our drunk goggles just at a table. Just to spark that conversation. Hey, what are those? Hey, why don't you try them on? I'll run you through some standard field sobriety testing, right? And then we get talking about impaired driving. Well, then they start asking me about, driving laws and stuff like that. So to continue that education piece of it. A lot of the stuff right now, I've had schools book me in for presentations. Sometimes I've been there all day where we did JKSK first, then we did the 1-2s, the 3-4s, and the 5-6s. JKSK, we usually talk about community helpers. I'll go through what's on my belt, so they'll get to see the cruiser. 1-2s, we'll start talking about tricky people. So we're getting away from the stranger danger, because not all strangers are dangerous people. Strangers are just people we don't know. We're getting towards the tricky people. So we'll have that conversation with them. And we have those conversations at the safety village as well. As they get older, we get into online safety, since that's the way stuff's going. I always tell the kids, we used to be taught, think before you speak. But now with the online world, we're talking about think before you post. So that's the messaging we're getting out there, right? And how everything you say online stays there and stays forever. And then we get into the grade 6, 7s, 8s, and we get into the sextortion. Because we do get calls to school still for sextortion. So I'll go through the presentation. We actually talked about the Amanda Todd story. A lot of them don't know about it, but I'll summarize it for them. And we'll go through and we'll actually watch the YouTube clip. I've also gone into the high schools for recruitment events, law class visits, talk to them about what it is to be a police officer, and just sort of my story as a police officer. Again, the drunk goggles are always a good one. Even the teachers like putting them on and trying the testing. And then we also do this school charity events. So the top left there was Grey Highlands High School. We did a charity basketball game. No, I think that was the charity. Yeah, that was a basketball game. We've also done a dodgeball game as well. And it was buyouts, so that the school could do a buyout to watch the games happening. I think bottom left was the Tobermory School. Again, community helpers and just see the cruiser. The kids love it. Love going in the back seat there. And then sometimes I'll have some of our experts. So this one here, that's our drug recognition expert, talking about impaired drugs and sort of what the process is when someone gets arrested for impaired by drugs. Yeah, so I'm happy with the relationship we have with our schools right now. Our yippies and summer students. So this will be our 3rd year running Yippee. 2 years ago, we hired 2 of them. So they're youth in policing. They work for the summer. Last year, I oversaw the program and we hired 4 youth in policing students that worked part-time. So they followed me around, got engaged with the community. So this is them down at the safety village. Those are the 4 that we had last year. That's our summer students. And basically just trying to give them an exposure of what policing is. Right, so coming to the community events, engaging with the community with me. We got to do some ride programs. And then the bottom left is we got to do a tour of OPC because these students have somewhat of an interest in policing. So we want to show them everything to do with it, right? We got them down to our IDENT building in Mount Forest, OPC. We went to the courthouse here and just watched bail hearings, right? Which is pretty interesting since we can go there in our summer student. Summer student, he was a Yippee student prior, and he actually got hired on as our summer student last year. And he's actually in the process right now to become a cadet or a provincial constable. So you can really see how the program works. Back when he was a yippie, he just wanted to see what policing was like. He really enjoyed it. Came back as a summer student, then had a chance to maybe work the front desk, answer some phone calls, attend ride-alongs with officers because he was at the age. And now he had his application and he's currently in the process of becoming a cadet, hopefully. So, yes.
What's the criteria for those students?
So for a yippie student, they have to be turning 15 prior to the program starting. And it's anywhere from about 15 to 17 years of age for a yippie. And then for a summer student is 18 plus. So we actually have our interviews tomorrow for the summer students, and I have 5 interviews with the summer students. So they're all local to the area that have interest. Yes.
And just the Yippie students have to live in our detachment area.
Yes. Yeah.
SAO is not.
Yeah. If you didn't hear her there, she said the Yippie students have to live in our detachment area. So that's one of the criteria as well. So we vet those out. But a summer student doesn't. That could be anywhere from in the province or even the country. Some of the applications to see, they're out west right now, but they're coming back to live here in the summer. But I can tell you right now, for the summer students that we have interested, they're all local to the area. So the farthest being Mount Forest. Yeah.
How do they get to where they gotta get to? If they don't have a driver's license or a car, or get dropped off at a certain detachment, or?
So for the Yippie students, when we have the interviews with them, we make it very clear that it's their responsibility to get to the closest detachment. So last year, we hired 4. One was from Cape Croker, one was from Dundalk, one was from Georgian Bluffs, and the other one was from Great Highlands. So 2 of them reported down to Markdale, where I was at 6 in the morning, and then I had to figure out how I was getting the rest of them. So thankful the road sergeants that day, or the days that I needed help, were willing to maybe drive the other ones down to meet me halfway, and we could get to the event that we were going. Mm-hmm. But there were some early mornings where I had, this big Sprinter van that I rented out to get the Yippie students in there to get them to where we're going.
Would the summer students primarily be young people who have an interest in a career in policing?
Yes.
You're trying to give them an opportunity to understand, as opposed to somebody just needs a job for the summer and, well, I'll apply for this, and they have no interest in being in policing whatsoever, which to me would defeat the purpose of exposing these kids to what policing is all about.
Yeah, so in the application, it does say law enforcement in it. So there's a whole bunch of things that the government of Ontario opened up to hire summer students. So when they click off that they want to apply to a certain thing, ours falls under like law enforcement. So they're required to submit a one-page sort of why I want this position along with their resume. So that gets vetted as well before we make our decisions. But I can tell you that all the people that we are interviewing tomorrow have said in their application that they have interest in potentially becoming a police officer.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Just on that, how long has this program been running, and out of that program that's been running, how many have actually became police officers?
So in Great Bruce, it's new. The inspector here brought it in, like I said, for the Yippies 2 years ago now. And like I said, so this gentleman here, he was one of our very first Yippies. And then he was a summer student last year. And like I said, he has his application in right now. So he's got his application to be a cadet with the Great Bruce area. Yeah.
Would be interested looking back 10 years after the program started to see, how many, pursued that career.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
The first year, he is one of 2. We only did 2 the first year, so 1 out of 2's already applied.
Yeah.
And
That's for good
they had to be
odds.
under 17
Yeah.
to do it, so they're still in that younger phase, and they're used to be.
They may do college and stuff.
Mhm.
Yes.
Through you, Chair. Even if they don't become a police officer, I feel like there's lots of benefits. They're introduced to all of the good work that policing does in the community. They're able to spread the word. So I think that's a marker of the success of the program, but it's not the only marker.
No, and you know what? Our MSTERT worker, so Muriel Holmes, I've been working with her a lot. She comes to a lot of the school presentations. And these guys get to see, what Muriel does, right? So it's just a sort of extending, right? They went down to our ident and they got to see that and everything. So they see a whole bunch of different things, but yeah, sure. Yes.
Can we go back to your comment? I didn't catch all of it with respect to that situation where one parent could object to the police coming in. What was that? Can you just elaborate on that, what that was all about?
Sorry about that.
Well, you commented, I didn't quite catch, was this to go into the schools or to go into a facility?
Oh, so, okay, yes, my apologies.
One parent
So this is
objected.
not here. This is not current practice here. We have a very good relationship. I just know at other school boards that and if an officer wants to go into the school, they have to submit what they're presenting on if they're doing a presentation, or they just have to say they're coming in to say talk about community helping, and then notice has to go to the class, and if one parent says no, then the officer's not allowed in.
But that doesn't apply to either of the two school boards in this area.
No, we have a very good working relationship. Well, I have the luxury of just going in there, talking to the admin staff that day, saying, hey, look, I'm coming in. I had some free time. I'm going to set up the drone goggles, or I'm going to set up a quick booth here.
Good.
No, we have a very good working relationship with our school boards here. Yeah, and I'm grateful for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, shame on those school boards that don't approach it that way, because it's important for kids to connect and understand the role of policing. And I mean, I can't imagine a school board, like I would say, if the parents don't like the police coming in, then tell their kid to come home for the day. Don't force everybody else to miss out on that opportunity. But fortunately, you're telling us that it's not an issue here, so it's not our problem.
No, not an issue here. Yeah. I think we'll have to go to the next one. There we go. And another big push is recruitment. So Crystal Linthorne, the person I took over for the role for, who she's a recruitment ambassador, but I still work with her to set up recruitment events here in the area. We're trying to really get people in and hire local and to stay here, rather than having that new recruit come from a different place and then putting in their 2-3 years and then transferring out. So since we've been in it, me and Chris have been able to host 3 events so far. We hosted one in Dundalk, we hosted one in Hepworth, and we hosted one in Meaford. Pretty well attended, as you can see in the picture there. Lots of great questions of potential interested candidates. And we'll talk about not just constable as well, we'll talk about auxiliary. A big push for auxiliary officers across OPP and here as well, we're always looking. So sometimes we'll stress with them, like say, hey, maybe if it's not for you yet, why don't you come on as an auxiliary officer, right? We're finding that that's a good way now for people to get in and get that experience to see if it's something that they want to maybe make a career switch to.
What's involved with that?
What's that?
What's involved with an auxiliary?
An auxiliary, so they're a volunteer. So a lot of them will still have full-time jobs. They're required to get 10 hours of community or involvement a month. So I think we have 5 or 6 here. We're down right now, and they're working hard, but they have to put in at least 10 hours a month they ask for. They're able to go for ride-alongs, but a big push is their community event stuff. So they'll do the Karama Cruisers, they'll attend the Safety Village as well. They'll go set up, the event booths and everything to answer questions, talk about fraud and stuff like that. So they help me when I can't get to an event as well. They either come with me or I put out the call saying, hey guys, unfortunately I can't make it to this one, but an auxiliary member has stepped up and we're sending them down to it.
Yeah, just to speak to that too, we're down in our numbers of auxiliaries. 2 that I could think of recently were hired as officers, so it's also a good stepping stone to become an officer.
Yeah. And then we talk about the cadet program as well with the OPP and our recruitment information sessions. It's a newer thing that the OPP brought back, the cadets. And another success story is that we had a cadet hired here from Dundalk, and he was a successful applicant to become a provincial constable, and he actually reports back out of here out of the Chatsworth Detachment. Yeah. So we're trying to do a lot of local recruitment, which is good.
So that dynamic has changed, because at one time, I understand, they would move you around the province. They do charge now,
So you-
or what's?
You still make your 6 selections, your 6 picks of where you want to go. And we get presentations from recruitment all the time of like, hey, this is what we can put out to the potential candidates. Yes, you still put your 6 in. You still sign saying you're willing to relocate everywhere in Ontario. However, they are trying to really just keep people local. What they're finding is a lot of people will, again, come up here, do their 3 years, and then transfer back downwards closer to home, right? And say you don't get your 6, they'll always call you and say, hey, we actually have an opening here. Would you be willing to go there? So.
I'm sorry, I just want to back up to one of their comments you made about social media postings
Yes.
with the kids. And you say, don't forget, it's out there. Once it's out there, it's out there. Do you go into the consequences of that at all?
Yeah, so in the sextortion stuff, we do get into some of the charges. And I also talk to the kids that maybe have an interest in policing, so those law classes, that, hey, you know, maybe 5-6 years down the road when you're doing an interview for policing and they do that social media scrape of you and they ask, hey, like, yeah, hey, you know.
Political statements, things like that.
100%, right? And then you say, no, I've never done anything like that. And they have this piece of paper and they slide it across the table saying, well, what's this Facebook comment all about?
Bringing that to the attention of the kids when you're.
Yes, when I'm in there, for sure. That is a big thing, right? That think before you post and how it stays on there all the time. I talk about, you know, you might think you deleted it early enough, but once it's out in the social media world, it's always there. Yeah, no, we definitely talk about that.
Go ahead.
Through you too. I do follow West Region all the time and stuff does come on board very quickly. So if you are following it, it's a good place to stay abreast of what's happening in the riding. And duration postings, we still have duration postings, correct?
Yes, we still
And
have
if they sign on for a duration posting in Pickle Lake or wherever, they then have somewhat of a choice of where they'd like to go when they come out, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So if you do a duration, say in Pickle Lake, it's a 2-year duration posting. If you wish to transfer out, basically the transfer is, hey, there's 10 people that are interested in coming here. You're bumped to the top to transfer in.
So it's a great starting point for a police officer. A duration is a good start to get some well-rounded policing, and then you get a bit of a choice to go to the area that you want to go to.
For sure. But now being from Gray, I always stress how great it is working here, right? And say, hey, you know what, maybe put Gray Bruce as your number one. But no, for, you know, that one person who maybe wants to travel for a bit or experience something else, yes, you could look into your duration postings and then always with the option of coming back. Yep.
I have heard through different folks who have kids, grandkids that are interested in policing careers that it can be extremely, despite the move to recruit officers, extremely difficult and competitive to be accepted into the OPP. People that they apply and then they don't get accepted and they're not really given an explanation as to why, and then they have a time limit of 2 years before they can apply again. And like, it seems to contradict the desire to recruit people, and especially people in your own community, when you hear these stories. And I wonder how much that deters young people from a career because, oh, well, the chances of getting in are so poor. That's the sort of the perception that I've heard from a number of different sources. What's your thoughts in that respect?
Yeah, so we, from the presentations we've had from recruitment, you know what, I could have a relative that I've tried to get in and they get axed. And I can't even find out why they didn't get in. Yeah, the only thing I say to people who are trying or when they come out to the recruitment events to say they were unsuccessful for the first time, is just find out where, you know, you became unsuccessful. So if you put your application in and then you unfortunately received that letter, well, obviously it was something to do with your application, right? If you made it onto the interview, but then right after the interview, you found out you were unsuccessful, well, it was probably something to do with the interview then, right? Because you made it that far. That's the best piece of advice that we can give, you know, these
You're
people.
not told what you did wrong in the interview.
No, and I
How
can't.
do you know what to fix if they don't tell you what you did wrong or what you said, so that the next time you go around the route, that
Yeah,
strikes
and
me
you know
as-
what? I can't answer that question. Recruitment has their criteria of what they can do. We have just been told to say, watch your process, and where you are unsuccessful in the process, that's probably a good indicator of what you need to work on.
Can we take it down to, we'll let the commander go next, but take it down to 2 more questions, and then we've got to keep going with the meeting.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah.
Just on your comment there too. So, yes, we want candidates, but we also want to make sure they're good candidates. So, our recruitment has a very thorough background investigation that they do. We don't know what all is entailed in that. There could be something in that person's background, like maybe it's your cousin and you think they're a wonderful person, but they might have that one thing in their background that you don't know about, or even a friend or a family friend. They might look like a good candidate, but unfortunately, sometimes something is found in the background that is an automatic no, or, you know, we need to let this person grow a little bit, those types of things. But because it's of the nature of it, they don't want to give out what all things they're looking at. So that's why it's somewhat maybe seems secretive, or they don't get the feedback, which I understand is frustrating for some people. But that is the reasoning, is it's usually something in the background that we all think they look like a good candidate, but we just don't know exactly everything that's happened in that person's background.
We'll take two more questions, comments.
Mr. Chair, Staff Sergeant Fallon has his hand raised. I don't know if he has anything to add from you.
Okay, Sergeant Thalen, did you have anything to add? You're back there somewhere.
I'm here. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just gonna add some comments, but the inspector added those comments, so I'm all good. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
The comment I was going to ask you around, but I see your auxiliary or marked auxiliary.
Yes.
So I wasn't sure how people would identify or how they were identified, and I see that up there.
Yeah, that's they're where the light blue uniform with the auxiliary crest right on it.
That's a good event. That's a great Highland school there.
Yeah, this was the drive your tractor, drive your farm.
That's a great event because the kids can bring their farm tractor to school on the last day of summer.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So I was down there last year and I took a picture. And like, there's so many other events I could talk on forever, but I do a lot of presentations on senior fraud. So I'm not just in the schools. Senior fraud is a big one right now. So I'm always there doing presentations to different senior homes. I did a senior home touch-a-truck. I came in, the fire department and ambulance, and it was just for the seniors to come out and sit in the cruisers and stuff. Polar plunge is a big event that I think we should highlight. We just went through it, about $10,000. Terry Fox Ride hopes when major events come through too, right? They came through bikes, Ride Smart program, teaching kids sort of bike safety, road safety. OPP, we have a trailer with bikes because it's easy to give a bike to every kid to teach them rather than tell them to come a bike. Safeguarding your property. I've done presentations on that, proper lighting. Cam Safe, trying to really promote that one. I don't know if a lot of people know about it here, but it's an online registry that police, or I have access to. I think I'm the only one in Grey Bruce, but we encourage members to register their cameras at home to say you have it. So rather than, the traditional way of us canvassing, if you're not home every day and I knock on the door and I'm trying to catch up because I see you have a camera there, you go on and register your camera with your name and phone number to say you have a camera. I log on to say, hey, you have one, I give you a call. It's an easier investigative tool for us. Summer camps and car seats. So the command staff sent me and I got car seat technician training. So I can assist now people here to help them with install car seats. So I go a lot to the early ons and stuff like that.
We'll end with member Colburn.
I appreciate that you're doing the car seat installation because as a public health nurse, we used to do that, and that is some tricky stuff right there.
Yeah, it was a 4-day course. I would have never thought, but yeah, a 4-day course on car seats.
I also used to teach with a police officer defensive driving for seniors. Was that an OPP? That might have been a city police thing. Is that something you've ever offered?
I have never seen it offered. I don't know if the inspector,
Okay. Thank you.
Carl hasn't had a chance. Go ahead.
So you said this is full time between the media and the community engagement.
Yes.
What's the split between that, and then what happens to the media portion when you're on vacation or not available?
So there is one other officer that's on the road that has media training. So he will pick up the slack. What I impart though is of a syndicate. So in West Region, I'm part of Huron, South Bruce, Wellington, and Perth. So we call it our Syndicate 3. So if I'm on vacation, I'll reach out to my other syndicate members, other media officers that'll cover me for the week or the time that I'm off. So I'm not on call every weekend. We have an on-call schedule that we cycle through our syndicate. And then if I have to use that other officer in Great Bruce that has the media training. And then also the PIA that I discussed as well. So sometimes say if I'm in a presentation right now and there's an event going on, they'll see that I'm in a meeting and the PIA will be activated. And then once I'm out of the meeting, my phone will start ringing and I'll start taking over the media releases from there.
And then the split between media and community Like 10% media, 20% in terms of your time?
Well, I can tell you every morning I get in, so I work 6 to 4. I'll do my media releases right in the morning, and then I'm out to my events. And then if I have some free time before I go to my next event, I'm firing in another media release because there might be something that day that we need the members to be made aware of. So it's very close, almost like 50-50 really. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Let's move along. We're up to the commander making her presentation, is that correct? That's next. Maybe you can guide me, what are we up to, number 6?
Chair Soldier, yeah, you had mentioned delegations previously, 6.2, so we would be on 7.
7, okay. There's a recommendation to receive the report, that the first report to be received is that the Grey Goose Detachment Board's Q1 narrative report and Q1 statistical report to be received for information. Is there a mover? Member McQueen moves it, seconder, Member Reed. Okay, all in favor? Opposed, if any? It's passed.
I mean, not like the report.
We're gonna get to that one.
Just before we pass it.
I know. I'm putting the cart before the horse. I was thinking of your jurisdiction. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll do my best to get through this today. So I'm going to start with the statistical report. So the motor vehicle collisions by type, you'll see that they were down in 2026 from 2025, but they are more consistent with 2024. Moving on to page 2, there's no trends there and nothing really noteworthy in the fatalities. It's pretty similar. And feel free to stop me if you have questions along the way. Page 3, highway traffic act charges are up significantly from 2025. However, it's not as drastic when you compare it back to 2024. Moving down to the seatbelt, speeding, and distracted driving, those are all up significantly, which is good to see us out there. The impaireds have been pretty consistent over the years. The next page is the e-ticket warning. I've spoken to this before, how it's also up, and that's consistent when charges are up, warnings will be up, because typically, officers will give a warning with a charge if there's more than one charge or multiple charges. Moving on to violent crime, there's really nothing significant to report on there. There are a couple of big percentage changes, but when you look at the numbers, they're very small numbers, so I wouldn't really say those are significant to note. Property crime is all down, which is great to see. However, I'm unsure if it's weather related or due to some of our significant offenders being in custody. So we'll just continue to monitor that. Also, our street crime unit is revamped and doing some great work, so that might be part of it. Drug crime, nothing notable. You'll see that there's zeros now for the cannabis charges, and that's because those are now provincial offenses. On page 8, nothing really significant for the other crime. Moving on to page 9 and the youth charges. These are down significantly. And I believe I've noted this before, that oftentimes our numbers spike due to having a prolific youth offender that's responsible for a lot of charges. So it just kind of depends on our youth population and how those charges fluctuate. The clearance rates, nothing significant to report there. I always skip over the unfounded because I really don't think it's something that needs to be reported on. Those are the things that are reported that actually didn't happen. So public complaints, nothing notable there. It's pretty consistent. Going down to the daily activity reporting patrol hours, our patrol and cruisers continues to increase, which is great to see. And our foot patrol is also up significantly. And I think that's also been a push that we've been giving to our officers. Our municipalities want to see our members out on foot, so we're really pushing that. Mental health occurrences, nothing significant there. Same with the overdose occurrences. And then the final page, referrals to victim services are up almost, it's 44%. And I believe this will have to do with our day program, which I've spoken about, the Detachment Abuse Investigators. So they've gone to all the platoons and provided training. So that really helps in really telling them about victim services and the importance of them. So that's it for the stats when I flew through that. Any questions before I go to the narrative?
A comment that I've always questioned it or been disappointed by it, but with respect to victim service referrals, there's a low percentage that accept. Is there a reason for that?
And again, I like I said, it's up from previous years. A lot of it is in an officer saying, hey, here's victim services, you can use them if you want, right? Or is it, yeah, I understand you've been through a really tough time. Here's some trained volunteers who can help you through some of the things you're gonna be going through. You don't have to call them today, you don't have to call them tomorrow, but can I make that call for you? Can I call them today for you and they can follow up with you? So you can see the different approaches by an officer, which one's more likely to accept it. So I think that's why our training to our younger members in encouraging them to really try to sell that program, because it is a good program.
Go ahead.
Just further to that, Chair, through you, I imagine it has a lot to do with the officer's approach, but I also don't think it's unusual. There's a lot of fear with folks to report things, and I think a better comparator for us would be, is this data the same as what we might see in other parts of Ontario? And I suspect it is quite normal to have a low uptake, even though we have the services and it's offered.
For sure. And that's another good point, because yes, the delivery of how you ask them if they want victim services is one thing, but a lot of people are private people and they don't want some random stranger talking to them, right? They may have a good support system at home and family members they can talk to, so they don't need victim services. So we can offer it and give them the fulsome background on what they can do for them, but that's really all we can do.
And sometimes it's just a first step. It plants a seed, and then later on that service might be accepted. So.
I agree with the member. One of my concerns would be is someone getting the message that we would like you to be a witness, ultimately. Once you volunteer and decide to go in and speak to one of the agencies and you're telling your story, well, perhaps you're seeking somebody that's going to be a witness in a trial. That's just my view of the world, a cynical view of the world.
Other questions? Okay, I'll move on to the narrative. So under my section, I just wanted to highlight that we received an experienced officer that transferred to us from Thunder Bay this quarter, and also 3 new recruits who graduated on February 20th. I'm also going to a recruit grad on Thursday, where we're getting 4 more recruits. So we're getting a lot of new officers, which is great. Moving on to the crime section. Someone mentioned the search for the missing person from Eagles Falls. So our crime unit was involved in that and trying to do some background because he was missing for quite some time. So they are involved in those type of occurrences. From the first quarter, the crime unit laid a total of 61 charges. And you might think that doesn't seem like a lot for a unit. However, their investigations are the more in-depth one, complex investigations that take more time. So that's why their numbers are usually lower, but they're the more complex investigations. The community street crime unit, they did some significant work this quarter. The bell wire thefts, I think Member McLean, you had brought those up before. So they were able to identify the suspects on those and arrested both of them. So each incident where they were taking wire from the bell towers were resulting in 911 outages and approximately $10,000 in repairs. So the fact that we were able to identify those 2 suspects and get them arrested is huge. And I haven't heard of any recently. So hopefully that stops some or deters them for a while. The next section is was a CDSA, so drug search warrant at a Markdale residence. There was 5 people arrested with a combination of 45 criminal code and drug offenses. 14,000 in the value of the substances, 3,000 cash, and then stolen property valued at $31,000. So that's just one of the great investigations that they did. Another one's a drug trafficking investigation. I want to bring your attention to this one. Officer's doing a traffic stop, up talking to the driver, and he takes off. So our officer is dragged a little bit, but he's okay. They locate a 9mm handgun nearby after The driver flees, and 9 ounces of suspected fentanyl. Then we fast forward, they've identified who this person is. And in March, they were able to do some surveillance, and they located this person, conducted a traffic stop. He was in an Uber at the time, so he stopped. And they located another loaded 9mm handgun. Drugs. So again, this is very significant to get not just one, but 2 guns off the street, right? A handgun, you don't have that for any other reason than for bad purposes.
Shooting foxes.
So, and then there's the property crime investigation. I think this is good to highlight for the Mennonite communities that were getting hit with some break-and-enters. And they were able to identify some suspects through surveillance and intelligence sharing. And they executed a search warrant in Dundalk and Meaford. So they did them simultaneously. And they seized a large quantity of stolen tools, so a gun and other equipment valued at $43,000. And you'll see on the last page of my report, the photos of some of the stolen property. They were able to get back to the owners. So moving on to the provincial liaison team, they continue to help out whenever asked and needed in the communities. They continue to be involved with the TC Energy Pump Storage Project in Meaford. And then I also wanted to highlight that they've been engaged with our Mennonite and Amish communities regarding the buggy safety. So they've got someone agreed to do a safety video with us. And so we're working towards one of those priorities that we identified. And Cody Lyons is also very involved with the Mennonite and Amish communities, if you wanted to add anything.
Yeah, I went down with the PLT member. I know from the municipality of Grey Highlands, they had some questions there as well. So we were able to answer some of those questions. And I can just say that they have a safety booklet. So they are preaching a safety operation of a horse and buggy, where the proper lighting is, where the reflector tape should be. And I'll just share to the members here that when a buggy goes in for service, it's basically that the buggy shall have these markings on it before they leave. And I know one of the other questions that was sort of stressed by the municipality of Grey Highlands there was the age of operation of a buggy, horse and buggy. So I was able to talk to the community member there. I think it was about 5 or 6 that they started teaching on their property with a pony. But it's not until about 15, 16 that they're more responsible for traveling on the roadways in a horse and buggy. But they are preaching the safety measures. There is a safety booklet that they hand out to their members as well that talks about all that stuff. So yes, definitely working with them. When the weather gets a little better, we're going to try and put some messaging out. Not just for our motoring public here, our locals, but for a lot of those people that are traveling and vacationing up here, who maybe not experience a horse and buggy, and maybe not know what to do for the first time when they see one. So we just want to try and get that messaging down to, the city area as well.
So moving on to our mobile crisis response team. I believe I spoke to this in the year-end report, how we were successful in getting the funding for another position. So we'll now have 3 clinicians working at each of the detachments, and they will go anywhere in our detachment area. And then there's also the one that's at Nea-Shinimane First Nation. They've presented some training to all of our platoons on their role and how they can help. So that was good. And then you'll see that from January to the end of March, there was 184 mental health calls. MCERT team was requested in 114 of those. So sometimes if it's after hours or there's certain reasons why they may not be involved, but we try to involve whenever possible. Maybe there was none working that day. They attended live calls 37 times and asked to follow up 77 times. And just to note that we had 64 apprehensions, and of those 41 people were placed on a form. So what we find the MCERT team is helping us with is they're helping us decide whether to apprehend that person. So you can see that's a pretty high percentage of the people we actually apprehend are being formed. So it's saving us taking people to the hospital, wasting the time of the emergency department and the hours spent there. So that's another bonus part of this program. And it also shows here that we had 794 hours spent on mental health calls for service and 213 hours spent in the emergency department for the officer. So having the MCERT is good to try to avoid going to the hospital when it's not needed and to save those hours from being at the hospital. Moving on to the media, I'm not going to touch on much here because I think Cody did a great job of talking of the things he's been doing. And so the things I was going to point out, he's already spoken about. So I'm going to skip over his. Crime Stoppers, you can just see there, we had 215 tips were received by Crime Stoppers. And then they got a new chair, but I know that was in the agenda package, I believe. The auxiliary unit, again, Constable Lyons spoke to it and how we're a little short in our numbers right now, but they still do great work. And there is a picture on the last page of 2 of our members. It's quite significant and very amazing to say that 2 of them were acknowledged for getting 30 years of volunteer time with the OPP. So they've been with the program for 30 years, still, doing that volunteer time. So that's really impressive. And I wanted to highlight those 2 members, auxiliary member Buckley and Thomas. That's it for my reports, and I did it.
Anything further? Go ahead.
I'm curious, and you may not have this data, Inspector, but the Crime Stoppers tips, so 200, I think you said 215. How many of those tips yield some actionable outcomes?
I don't have that. I don't know if it's in the Crime Stoppers quarterly reports. I can check to see if they provide that. They're the ones that gather the stats, not us.
Okay.
So I do get a quarterly report from them, and I just can't recall if it does show the success rate. But I can look into it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything further for the claim? Nothing. Now we can take the vote, can you?
I think we did.
I think we did. Okay. It's accepted and passed. Moving on to, just to be sure, Madam Administrator, on to Finance and Administration. Okay, is this the one we are deferring?
No, this one, excuse me, this is the.
I'm sorry?
Through your chair, Solange, no, this is my report.
This is your report.
Yeah. 7-2.
721. Recommendation is that the terms of reference for the Detachment Commander Performance Feedback Subcommittee formalized and here to be adopted. Is there a mover? Member Wood. Is there a seconder? Member Reed. Woody, did you want to weigh in on this?
Yes, I can provide a summary of the report. So this report provides an update on the Detachment Commander Performance Feedback process, which is underway in accordance with OPP procedures. The subcommittee, which was established last year in October 2025, has begun the initial review stage to help set expectation priorities for 2026 in collaboration with the Detachment Commander. A meeting had been scheduled for yesterday, April 27th, to support this work. However, it had to be canceled due to illness, and we are working to reschedule it. Staff are recommending that formal terms of reference be adopted for the subcommittee, just to clearly define its mandate and reporting structure. As due to time constraints last year, this was not established when the committee was first created. It is also recommended that the current membership remain unchanged to ensure continuity and consistent review process through to the end of the board term in September. And looking ahead, a mid-year review is scheduled for July to assess progress, and a final evaluation will take place in September to align with reporting requirements and the end of the board term.
Go ahead.
So for the board's information, further to Jody's report, we have the subcommittee for the Detachment Commander's performance evaluation has been asked to meet, and that was the meeting that was to have happened yesterday, and will be rescheduled. We've been asked to meet to determine our action plan for policing for 2026. So we have the broad action plan, which is a 3-year plan, I think, Marla, 26 to 29. But we are also tasked with identifying priorities that we would like to see for that year. So it's a business plan really for policing, I would compare it to. I just want to be clear to the board that that task for determining the local priorities for 2026 has been handed over to that same executive committee that's doing Marla's performance evaluation, because it's seen as part of that process. But I just wanted to be clear to the board and to have the board's endorsement as such that the committee take that task on behalf of the board. Do I have that right, Marla?
I was just gonna add to it, so the priorities that you're going to select are from the action plan that we've created. So I did report on it to the board, so you are aware of all the priorities. It's just a matter of selecting, I think it's up to 5 that we're gonna prioritize for the year. So it's not picking new priorities, it's from the plan that we already.
And you'll have ideas and strong opinions about where we should focus. Thanks.
And I think that Marla's perspective is probably most important because you have the data as to where the action is happening and where there might be some need for more focus. As a member of that committee, ideally in a perfect world, we would have done some community engagement too, because we are all sitting here to represent the residents and the people. And so I know some of that data has informed the 3-year plan, but ideally it would have been to get some community feedback to say, you know, hey, we see a need here, or we'd like to see more of this. I realize we're under some time constraints, so that's not necessarily possible for this planning exercise. But as a member representing the people here at this table, I would like to hear from the people directly to get their input so that will help inform what our priorities might be as well.
I think you pointed out to me there was another OPP detachment nearby that.
That's Town of Blue Mountains.
Yeah.
Did a public engagement survey. It looked like it was online. And it was specific to their geographical area, and they got some really good feedback from members of the public as to where they felt there were some needs or some areas to strengthen. So I would hope that we can move towards that in the future.
That's right, for the future. Yeah, we're tightly concerned at this point, so we can't go backwards.
No, we can't. But if we don't talk about it now, I fear that in 3 years from now, this new board will be having the same discussion.
Keep in mind, we represent the public.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
If I could just come back, and I've followed the correspondence, Kathy, that you've sent back and forth with respect to the appropriate body to deal with this, and I read the response and so on. I still, and I sit on that subcommittee, so I'm included in that process, but I'm not sure I truly understand why other members of the board shouldn't be involved with setting all of these priorities. I understand it's sort of an extension of, you know, the evaluation of the work that the commander does, but I really think that there's more to it than that, and I would be interested to hear the feedback from those of you who sit on the board and whether you feel that you should be excluded from this process, because I'm inclined to say it's a question mark in my mind. Go ahead.
I would just build on that too, and thanks for saying that, Member Nickel. I guess my question is, does the SOP from policing that has to do with the DC's performance management include this action planning by the same committee that does the performance evaluation? And I know I read the standards of practice document, but I've sort of forgotten now what I read. But further to that, we would be bringing it back. I assume, I'm looking at our staff administration team, we'd be bringing it back to the board for approval and any changes that the board might wish to see. So that does give me a little bit of security, but I think it's fair enough to ask, you know, if there are priorities that folks are feeling strongly about, that we hear about them before we go into that meeting.
I can just read from the standard operating procedure that Member Coburn is speaking or referring to. So it says to review the detachment commander performance feedback form and address any related questions or concerns. Advisable to do it as early as possible in the year. And it could involve setting aside time in their meeting agenda to meet in camera, not publicly, about performance, or meeting at a separate time. And then the next paragraph goes on to say, OPP detachment board members or chair and the detachment commander will work together to determine which action plan commitments will be prioritized during the upcoming calendar year and what supporting activities are recommended in order to meet those commitments.
Can you repeat the beginning part of that sentence? Who is to meet, the chair?
The OPP detachment board and
Board.
boards, members, or chairs. So it doesn't say it has to be everybody or who, because it says detachment board member / chair. And it says members with the S in parentheses.
Right, so it could be either or.
It's discretionary.
I would feel better if we had someone to move and second that the executive, the committee be tasked with the initial draft of that 2026 action plan and bring it back for board approval, because I don't think we have that written anywhere, to my knowledge. Can I make that motion on the fly, Carly?
Thank you, Board Chair, through you. Yes, so the items that are in the agenda do attempt to clarify the role of what that subcommittee would be. And the terms of reference do encapsulate the whole process that's outlined within the SOP for consistency, that the same committee would be needing to complete all of those objectives.
So, sorry, thank you. Which document are you looking at 7.2.2 now, the board outlook and work plan, or are you looking at 7.2.1?
Still on 7.2.1, there is the committee terms of reference that are being recommended, which reference that standard operating procedure and become part of it. That's the recommendation, so that subcommittee would complete that process all the way through for consistency. And it defines that reporting structure back to the board at every step.
So I'm looking at that document now. That's a 3-pager, I think, right? The terms of reference for that.
That's correct.
Which page and which section does that encapsulate that? Carly, I'm just trying to skim it quickly. In terms of the action plan.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the SOP defines that initial review process, but the terms of reference outline the composition of the subcommittee that we didn't really formalize. We had just made appointments, so just providing a guiding document for that subcommittee for the clarity of everybody. But the actual SOP is what outlines that initial review process. The two are being tied together just for clarity. So they do complement each other in saying that the subcommittee is established for the purpose of working through the SOP prepared by the Ontario Provincial Police.
Thank you, and I understand that. I still think it's not clear, though. If the terms of reference for the committee does not specifically reference that task, and what the inspector just read to us was pretty vague too, in the SOP from the policing. Again, I'm going to make the motion that the council approve the established committee meeting to talk about the action plan for 2026, make recommendations, and bring that back to the board for approval.
Is there a mover?
Me.
The mover, is there a seconder? It's seconded by member Dodd. In favor?
Can we have some further discussion?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would really like to hear from all of the members here that don't sit on that subcommittee to get their input, because I personally think they should be involved. I think it's, from what we've just heard, it's up to us. It's not mandated, it has to be this way. The subcommittee has conducted its, for the most part, its responsibilities with respect to the evaluation. But this is, in my mind, is completely separate, and I would like to see everyone's input at the initial stages, as opposed to bring back a report and then go through the process without the benefit of the initial discussions that took place as part of that. So, but that's up to everybody here. If you don't sit on the committee and it's not important and you think the subcommittee could do it, well, then your wishes have been noted and we've made a decision with the motion.
Go ahead.
You, Chair. I just want to clarify for everybody. that these priorities are the ones that we already talked about at a previous meeting where I'd already brought forward the ones I thought were important and we had discussion then. So these priorities have all already been discussed at the meeting. And we have a number of priorities that were laid out in each of the different areas: the crime, roads, waterways and trails, and the community well-being. So we've already, as a board, accepted all of these priorities. So it's just a matter of picking 5 that we want to focus on or make priorities for this year. So I don't know if that adds some clarity, that it's not like we're just picking some priorities without the input of the board. These priorities have already been presented to the board.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. And again, I feel better about this in that we'll be bringing it back to the board for approval, and there could be changes made as the board reviews it, and perhaps they'll recommend some changes.
We've got 4.
There's that opportunity.
We've got four committee members sitting here right now, I believe. So just, do the others have any questions or comments? Take a vote.
Okay, everything's good.
Do you want to read the motion?
Through you, Councillor, is this the motion member Kathy Mark-Coburn has already put on the floor, or? Yes, okay, through you. That the Grey Bruce OPP Detachment Board authorize the subcommittee to review the action plan, identify 5 priority areas from it for the current year, and bring its recommendations forward to the full board for consideration and approval.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed, if any? None, it's passed. Is there anything further on 7.2.1, Madam Administrator?
Through you, we do also have the, which actually has a mover and seconder. I don't know if we, yeah, the main motion, which is that the terms of reference for the Detachment Commander Performance Feedback Subcommittee be formalized and attached here to the agenda.
And we have a mover and seconder already. All in favor? Opposed, if any? None? Approved. Okay, may we move on, Madam Administrator, to 7.2.2? And we're going to take a break in about 10 minutes, perhaps. We're up to the Outlook and Work Plan. The recommendation is that the report OPP 2026-06 be received for information, and that the 2026 Grey Bruce OPP Work Plan be endorsed, and that the updated board terms of reference be adopted. Is there a mover? Vice Chair moves it. Seconder? Member Coburn seconds it. Okay, I'm going to defer to Carly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I apologize for being behind these screens and not being able to see some of you.
You know you're there.
I am back here if you have questions. So to summarize the report, this board has had some discussion, and being a relatively new report, with this new legislation and all of these changes that have come down the line, I thought it would be helpful to sort of put all of that into a report and just provide a little bit of clarity and guidance. So the report does provide an overview of the board's progress since its formation. It also recommends receiving this report for information and endorsing the 2026 work plan that's been drafted. It also recommends updating the board's terms of reference to reflect a more cohesive document. So I did prepare this report in consultation with our police services advisor from the Ministry of the Solicitor General's office and our detachment commander, Marla. I did also use resources from Police Governance Ontario, which is formerly known as the Ontario Association of Police Services Boards. So they've recently had a name change, and that was in our correspondence package today. So some of the highlights of the report, they outline the board's role in the legislative context. So we operate under the Community Safety and Policing Act 2019, We often refer to it by its acronym, which is the CSPA. Your role as a board is governance and oversight, while the OPP manages day-to-day police operations. Our core legislative responsibilities within that legislation include participating in the selection of a detachment commander as directed by the commissioner at the time. We set detachment priorities and objectives in consultation with the commander and advise on regional policing matters. We monitor and review the detachment commander's performance, as we just discussed under the last item. And you review quarterly reports and annual policing reports that are prepared by the detachment commander. You can also set local policies, but there are some fairly strict limits defined under the CSPA, and those must be in consultation with the detachment commander. So some of the things that we've achieved. So since the board was formally inaugurated on March 25th, you completed some very extensive training in order to qualify to be board members. We navigated through some complexities in obtaining insurance for the board, and generally just working through all the legislative requirements to get you to a quorum and be able to hold the first meeting. So you've had 11 board meetings. This would be number 12. You have also held 2 detachment commander performance review subcommittee meetings, navigated through 2 budget cycles, and completed your first, though partial, detachment commander performance review process. It's worth noting that we are the largest detachment board in Ontario. You're supported by a relatively small administration team with some additional support provided by the Township of Georgian Bluffs. So some of the things that you do, of course, you review those quarterly reports that are prepared by the detachment using the provincially approved template. You provide feedback on the local action plan, which are prepared by the OPP. You provide consultation and input into the annual detachment report prior to its release to municipalities and band councils. Another thing that we do is we actively participate via our membership with the Police Governance Ontario, and you participate in those provincial zone meetings as well. We did recently appoint representation to the Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee, so we are now engaged in that work. The report does outline some optional and community engagement work that's recommended by Police Governance Ontario. We don't currently have any funding for those initiatives in the 2026 budget, but something that could be a consideration in future. Absent this budget, the OPP has offered to do the community engagement through their existing communication channels. So something to consider in the future, but for the purposes of 2026 and the work plan, it's reflected in that way. So the 2026 work plan that is appended to the report focuses on meeting all the legislative requirements that the board needs to meet under the CSPA for this year. It was prepared using templates that were provided by Police Governance Ontario, as I previously mentioned. And it does outline, again, that optional community engagement that I've just highlighted. In addition to that 2026 work plan, the report does recommend clarifying the role of the board, the detachment commander, and administration through updated terms of reference. Just highlighting that administration's role is to support meetings, records management, financial administration, and member development. In addition to the work plan, there is a chart that includes all of the active board directions that we're also working on behind the scenes. All items that are brought forward through motion of the board will be added to that direction list as well. So it's just something we're doing to help track all of the directions and the work that the board would like us to undertake. So from a financial impact perspective, the approved 2026 budget is sufficient to meet our mandatory obligations, but again, optional activities have not been funded. We are compliant with legislative requirements. We are functioning within our mandated oversight role, and we are positioned to carry out all of our responsibilities in 2026. Adoption of that work plan just sort of provides a visual of how that will happen and in which quarter. So we also, as staff, continue to work through the recommendations of Police Governance Ontario. They have, a few other policies and things that have either been directed by the board or sort of pending on today's agenda. So those are the types of things that we continue to work through in addition to the mandated requirements. So we're hoping that the board will endorse the work plan and adopt the updated terms of reference for clarity, consistency, and to ensure we're meeting the legislated requirements moving forward for 2026. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, Jay, I just want to make a comment that I find this useful work in that it outlines our responsibilities under legislation and then a work plan to actually accomplish them. And so thanks to Carly, and you've already got a motion on the table. So
I think it was well-written analysis. I gave me information I hadn't even considered. But from the feedback I'm getting from our association and others is that we're well ahead of a lot of the other boards in the province. Doing a good job. So somebody may say, well, 11 meetings, others are sitting for 3-4 times. That's it. I think we have good reasons. So there is a cost associated with that. There's no doubt. In any event, go ahead, Member McQueen.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for the report. And I think this is something that we could probably share with our local councils of the progression of how our boards have been working, and I think that's pretty good.
Member Bowman.
I also wanted to thank staff for this. I love charts. Anything you can give me that's point form makes me very, very happy. I'm looking at the work plan at page 2 of 4. And this is in regards to the evaluation of the detachment commander. I note that you have the facilitator being OPP. That's a bit confusing to me because that clearly falls within the mandate of the board. So although we're going to be relying on Marla to perhaps kickstart that and to do the initial filling in of the template for the evaluation performance, really is facilitated and led by the board. So I would suggest that unless my understanding of facilitator is different, but it's clearly an action of the board and a responsibility of the board. That's the only thing that I would possibly recommend be changed. Or perhaps we could even say led by the board, facilitated by the detachment commander. I think we just need to make it clear for the next board that that's our responsibility.
Any comments with respect to that? Carly, do you have any comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no comments from you. We're happy to reflect that change.
Okay, do we have to do it by way of motion, or does that just make a bunch of common sense?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to do it as an administrative adjustment.
Why don't we do it that way? Is everybody good with that? All the heads are going the right way. Okay. Now, where were we? Voting on the motion. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, and I'm just wanting us to look at our terms of reference, which we've seen before, right? This is not new to us, for our board. I wonder if we would entertain the notion of addressing attendance on that terms of reference, as is often the case with boards and committees. So what we don't have is how we deal with a member who is not in attendance for a lengthy period of time or so many meetings in a row. And I would suggest that that's commonplace to put in terms of reference. So if a member misses 3 meetings in a row, that member is perhaps asked to step down and be replaced.
Well, is that not included in the regulation, Carly? Somewhere in one of the regs? Can you think of?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I haven't come across it in the regulation, but I'm happy to take this direction offline. It was something that we considered when we prepared the board's procedure bylaw back last year. So if we're being provided with that direction, I'm more than happy to take that offline and do a little bit of research.
That sounds great to me.
Interesting question, because representation on this board. Much of it comes from municipalities. It would strike me that if a member doesn't show up that's a representative of the municipality, it's their decision whether they can accept that person's failure to attend. And it perhaps should be brought to their attention that that person hasn't attended, but I don't know that it's this committee's role or responsibility to discipline or make that decision. With respect to the municipal represent community appointees, they are appointed on behalf of that municipality, and I would say that applies to them as well, that if they're not showing up, that municipality has an expectation. And then with those of us that are the provincial appointees, well, then the Solicitor General's office has to make a decision whether this person is appropriate to continue if they're not showing up for their meetings. So I guess my concern or my question is whether or not it's the role of this committee to mandate that, or whether it's the role of those people, the organization, the municipality that appoints those people. Go ahead.
Just in response to that, Member Nickel, I would ask that that be something staff explore when they take this further and report back. I can tell you from sitting on boards, it's generally a board decision as to what you do about non-attenders. I'm here representing the people and this board. I'm not necessarily here just representing Georgian Bluffs. So my role is bigger than that here at this table as a municipal representative. I can't speak to provincial appointees because that's a whole different world that I'm not familiar with, but certainly we need a mechanism to set expectations for attendance. And we need a mechanism to deal with prolonged absences. And we can't ask our municipalities to do that on behalf of the board. This board is autonomous and our terms of reference should reflect that.
My comment is, my concern is, do we have a quorum? If we have a quorum, let's proceed. It's as simple as that. If one of the municipalities or one of the municipal representatives is not showing, well, then his or her municipality is out of luck.
In response to that, Chair, I'm more referring to community members. So we have selected community members to represent the voice of the community.
Yes.
We come at it with a bit of a political bent, as probably the provincial appointees do to a certain extent as well. We need the community members to be here and we need to hear their voice. We went through an extensive process to select them. Georgian Bluffs and the other municipalities did not select those community members. It was selected by this board. And so it's our responsibility to have some language that deals with absentees.
Okay, so we're not beating this one up. What do you suggest we do at this point?
I think we have a solution. Our staff's going away and doing some work for us and bringing it back to.
Okay, why don't we do it that way? Okay. So we are accepting the report. That's the motion as is. Absent that one section. Go ahead, Carmen.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe there was an appetite to amend the motion to provide direction to staff to investigate the non-attendance.
That's correct.
You just need a mover and seconder.
We have a mover being member Coburn, a seconder being member Reed. All in favor? Opposed, if any? None. Okay, that's passed.
And vote on the original motion to.
The original motion was to accept the report. We have all in favor, because we have a mover and seconder. Opposed, if any? None. Passed.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
mentioned about taking a break, but I like to bring a point of interest before you take that break.
Yes.
So today is the National Day of Mourning. Last week at Grey County Council, Mayor Mr. Carlton brought forward this part of the ribbon that I'm wearing today. And it's called the Day of Mourning Awareness Ribbon. Wearing the ribbon shows that workers killed on the job are not forgotten. The black strand represents all the workers injured or that died or because of their job. The clear strands represents all those invisible injuries, work-related illness and diseases that are not being recognized by WSIB. And these ribbons were handmade by the Hamilton and District Injured Workers Group. And you probably heard it on the radio this morning at today's National Day of Mourning. So I just wanted to bring that forward. And, you know, there are, I think, even you hear where you get young people starting a job, it's so important about training. And you hear so many, I've heard so many stories where those young people or new people working in a job maybe didn't get the proper training or the incorrectness or whatever, and they died on that job just because of training being so important. So anyway, I just want to bring that forward as today's is a National Day of Mourning. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you very much. On that, we'll take a short break. Thank you.
Georgian Bluff has a lot of activities to do. It's really nature driven, and it's like the community is very nice, very friendly. And a lot of the locals come here every single day and they think of it as their therapy.
We're the Farouk family. We started farm on the lake, and the community, everybody around it, the support structure, the township has actually made us to who we are today. And now that we have this set up, this whole operation is well received by the community. People drive down from far, far away to do camping, glamping with us.
A lot of people come from far away to see the goats, and they're really amazed. Sometimes we feed the babies in front of them.
When we think about Georgian Bluffs, it's really the Reiki forest bathing that comes to my mind. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and we were looking to bring our people for a retreat, and this property just popped up, and we realized that behind it's a beautiful forest. Every time we are driving up, I feel so relaxed. The air is amazing.
If you're an outdoor enthusiast, there's never-ending things to do. There's the hiking all over through the escarpment. There's the bay, the water, if you're into water sports or sailing. And of course, pickleball is growing fast, and it's all over the place right now. So there's lots to do.
What we enjoy the most about Georgian Bluff is having access to the beautiful nature around us, the cultural impact from the First Nations to the local artists.
The trails and so many great things to do, and lots of business opportunity here, and tourism as well to support our business.
First off, what I love about the area is the scenery. It's absolutely beautiful. Like, it's right in the name of the municipality, the Bluffs. Another thing too that I noticed from living through here is all the small communities throughout Georgian Bluffs. They're very unique, and they might be very small, but we're very big with heart. Everybody looks out for each other, takes care of each other, and just the way locals support locals. So the ability to have a local business and prosper is very apparent here in Georgian Bluffs.
People are more genuine here. People are more sincere. They're kind. They know the word please and thank you. It's the way life used to be. It's more simpler. You feel like you're part of something.
The township of Georgian Bluffs as a municipality is proud to serve its residents, whether it be looking after infrastructure, looking after our roads, grading our gravel roads, looking after our parks, our trails, our community centres, our ice arena, or providing the services that residents rely on every single day when they come to our township offices. I'm proud to lead a team which is here serving the residents of Georgian Bluffs every single day.
What we'd like to see Georgian Bluffs going forward is really, more people come in to experience this beautiful energy, this relaxed energy, because over here in Georgian Bluffs, I can hear the wind, I can hear the trees talking. It's just amazing, really relaxing.
Welcoming more people, yet with the same foundation and principles of community, of respect, and of morals.
It would be great for Georgian Bluffs to continue to support, nature and the beauty that we have here, and to keep our area clean and beautiful.
I hope to see more local businesses, more sustainable living, and more families just moving up here and living and prospering off their land and their property.
For me and my family, Georgian Bluffs means being close to nature. Having the escarpment to hike and the water of Georgian Bay at our doorstep is something that draws us to being part of this community. The family-friendly neighbourhoods, the fact I can connect with my neighbours and see them on the street and say hello, and I know the people I'm seeing each day, is something which for me is something I treasure and my family treasures about being in Georgian Bluffs.
We are Dirk and Alma DeVries, and we are coming to you from Dual Acres. This is a beautiful property in Georgian Bluffs that we own, and we run horse-drawn sleigh and carriage rides from.
So today we're going to have Dan and Juliet. Dan's a 12-year-old gelding, and Juliet's a 12-year-old mare. Come on, Dan. When people come here, we invite them to come back to our shack, and they will go in there and they can get ready to go, get dressed, whatever they need to do, and stay warm till the ride event starts. And then we bring the horses out of this sleigh shed here, and they get on, and we take them roughly for a 40-minute ride, all through hardwood and softwood bush. So the whole experience is in the woods. We return here, we drop them off here. They can go in, and there's a big wood stove in there. They warm up, and if they so desire, they can also enjoy a cup of hot chocolate. We build all our own sleighs, and there's a reason for that. Is sleighs in Ontario came with a width of stance, with a runner width of 3 feet, and that was designed to work in the bush and whatnot. But a 3-foot stance is very tippy when you get people. People are like hauling water. There's always a second motion. And that second motion is the motion that'll tip the sleighs. So I rebuild all the sleighs to a 4
screen. We got our form back. We are up to which number? 8. Everybody's had a chance to see the consent agenda in 8.1. Correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Administrator. There is one item that I would like pulled. Should we be dealing with that one first, Madam Administrator?
Through you, Chair Solich, if you'd like to pull an item, you can just accept the consent agenda, consent agenda, less the item that you or any other member wishes to pull.
It's that Grey Bruce OPP Detachment Board adopt the consent agenda for information as circulated, less item. I'm going to suggest item 8.1.3, and I'll speak to that in a minute. Are there any other items that anybody wishes to have pulled from the consent agenda? No hands going up. Do we have I guess we should ask if there is a seconder. For the motion, we have a seconder, Member Wood. Let me speak to 8.1.3 in a very general sense. 8.1.3 is the West Region Detachment Board Symposium Save the Date invitation. Correct me if I'm wrong. We got an invitation both to the commander and to our board that there is a symposium in London, Ontario. It's deemed to be a conference, I guess. You could say that. And that is on, I think, June the 5th or the 4th, 5th or 6th. Yeah, it's one day after there is a Zone 5 meeting in Clinton, and it's in person. This is the one recently, or in the last meeting, I was asked to write a letter to them, if you recall, saying our members are questioning the value of going to these meetings. I think that was raised by Member Mackey. And I did write the letter raising it, and they said they would put it on the agenda. I think it's important that I go to that meeting. I've been attending all the others. And you attended one with me when I was in Arizona, and I attended virtually, if you remember. So I still felt I should attend this one in person. Now, if you think about it, don't ask for opinions today because it's going to be on the next agenda. If I went to both, it would make sense to go to both, because I have to go to the first, but I would have to reach out to the community members that are here to ask them a question, because I'm utilizing my conference budget already. So there would have to be a member who has to give up their conference budget and that's assuming we know I think Samantha was going to give us the costs at the next one. So we're trying to mitigate costs. So the question will be, because we'll have more information on Zone 5, or I should say on the conference, the symposium, the one that the commander and say myself, are going to, isn't of value. We want to know what's on it, so we'll be able to throw out that question at the time. Here are the costs. Is there anybody being a community member that would surrender their opportunity in this between now and September, I guess, or October, their budget to attend the any conference. It's just something to think about. It certainly doesn't apply to the municipalities or the provincial. Well, it would apply to the provincial.
What's the date of it again?
It's June 4, 5 and 6, or 4 and 5.
Because that's going to be right after the conference in Niagara Falls.
Yes.
It ends on the 2nd.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's the second one that comes. Go ahead.
The meetings you're referring to are June 9th and 10th.
9th and 10th, thank you very much. I was never good with numbers
No,
anyway.
it was just the 10th, sorry, it's the 9th.
Sorry, the 9th is the OAPSB Zone 5 meeting. That's usually online, but they do them in person twice a year.
Yeah,
So
then it's
in
9 and
person
10.
In your own county, and then June 10th is at our West Region headquarters. And it's, we're getting all West Region Detachment Board chairs and detachment commanders together for events in London.
Yeah, let's not get in a lengthy discussion about this now. It's really all about, Carlola was about was, it's going to be on the next agenda. We're going to have a better idea as to what's the value to me going to that one. Otherwise, I would just go to the Zone 5 in person, where I think I should attend because I wrote the letter. Come back instead of going on to London. At that point, eating into the budget. If it's got no value, the opinion might be, don't bother. Go ahead, Marla.
If I could just add, I think it's very important for either the chair or someone attend in his place, because this is a high level. There's going to be discussions about grant funding. The municipal policing unit will be there. We're going to talk about regional policing structure and the integrated response. OAPSB Executive Director Lisa Darling will be there. So I do think it's very important to have someone from the board in attendance at the West Region.
I value that, and I'm willing to go. But at least let's put it in front of the board at that point. Yes, Carl.
Yeah, you were mixing up conference and meetings, and I see this as part of our obligation.
It is.
Yeah, as opposed to conference.
Yeah. It is, yeah, and I think the commander has made it pretty clear. So I think what we'll do, if you don't mind, Jody?
Oh, through you, Chair Starbucks. I was just going to clarify just a quick point regarding when he said conference budget. It's professional development, and what Chair Fullers was saying is this is just a email from Samantha, the treasurer, that I'm reading. So because Chair Fullers has already utilized his entire professional development budget attending the OAPSB conference, and we have 3 other representatives committed, totaling approximately $6,000. That includes incidentals and everything. Therefore, in order for Chair Fullers to attend this on the 10th of June, the remaining 3 provincial and community representatives would need to confirm that they will not be utilizing their full professional development allocation for the year, so that we can essentially dip into it or use it to send Chair Fullers.
Yeah, and all I'm pointing out is, yes, Carl?
This is not professional development.
It isn't, that's right.
Yeah.
It-
And so,
Through you, it does fall under that, though, in per diems and
terms of
such.
budget.
There's a budget allotment that is allowed per member, and it falls under.
but this is not Jerry's personal membership obligation. This is a board obligation, as opposed to Jerry's personal professional development obligation.
And through you, I can only read what this is what the treasurer has sent, is that someone would need to.
I agree with you, thank you. The easiest way around it, if they're gonna do it, is somebody's gonna give up that part, they're not going. Then we don't have to get into discussion, and yes, Kathy.
Well, I think it is important to have the discussion about where the money's coming from. I would reiterate what our admin staff is saying, is that it's under that budget line. And so, according to our terms of reference, if you've exhausted or you will be exhausting your allotment,
Right.
then we do need someone to offer up theirs. And
That's the
is
point.
there a way we can reach out to community members, or are they're not all in attendance? I see one online is, and she would like to speak, so I'm just gonna be quiet and let her go.
Through you, Mr. Chair, you can have mine. How's that? I know I'm not available in June. And being an election year, I am quite busy running a municipal election here at my other job, my full-time job. So I am happy to sacrifice mine and you can have mine.
There we go. Thank you. Okay, we've got that one out of the way. The question then is, I guess there's no question on it.
Do we need a motion as such?
We need a motion.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would suggest, yes, a motion at this time. And just to provide the additional added clarity as well, I know that it may not classify as professional development, but for the purposes of the 2026 budget, those are where the funds are located that we have available. So moving forward in budgeting years, we can account for things like this, but right now, that's where the funds are sitting and that's where we would have to use them for.
Okay, I pulled it. Why don't we put it on the next agenda? Or you want to deal with it right now?
Mr. Chair, it's most efficient if you'd like to do that now.
Let's deal with it right now. Okay, do you want to word it?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the motion could simply read that the chair be authorized to attend the West Region Detachment Board Symposium and that the funds be drawn from the professional development budget.
And is there a mover? Member Colburn moves to seconder. Member Rini, in favor? Opposed, if any? None. Passed. Okay, that one's gone. Yes, sir.
Speaking of budgets, I believe it was decided that both you and I would attend those zone meetings, the one in Clinton.
Yes.
So there could be a savings of only one of, if it's determined only one of us needs to attend that too. That's okay with me, but that's the day before, you said?
Yeah.
So maybe there's a savings if I don't have to submit a report, expense report for travel and the time, the days. So we can.
You and I can work that.
We can work that out. I mean, there again, I think we're both questioning from our experience with the virtual meetings, the value of attendance at the meetings, and they need to either make it worthwhile or that's still up in the air, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay, fine, just for what it's worth.
Okay, yeah. Okay, where do we go from here, Madam Administrator?
Through you, Chair Solers. Just backtracking slightly to the consent agenda. It was not technically voted on. So we just need actually a mover. I got a seconder, Member Wood. I just need a mover that the Grey Bruce OPP Detachment Board adopt the consent agenda for information as circulated, less item 8.1.3, and that all actions contained herein be approved.
And is there a mover? Member Colbert, and seconder is Member Dodd. Okay, in favor? Opposed, if any? None. Passed. Okay, may we move on? Or is there a resolution for municipalities? Or we're moving on to new business? Oh, there is no resolutions. Okay, new business. Reconsideration of municipal funding formula and the equity of equal contribution model. Now, this is one that Member Scott Mackey had introduced. Yes?
Through you, Chair Solers, that item is the one being deferred.
Sorry?
Through you, Chair Solers, that item is the one being deferred.
We deferred that already.
It's to be deferred.
It's to be deferred. Okay, that's what I was going to point out.
Members absent.
Thank you very much. Member Mackey is not here, so I'm going to ask that number 9.1, which is further to the notice provided by Member Scott Mackey, February 24, 2026, meeting of the Grey Bruce OPP Detachment Board be deferred to the next meeting. Okay,
I will so move.
any seconders? Member Wood. All in favor? That one's passed. No unfinished business. Number 11, consideration of motions where notice was previously given. Memorandum of understanding for administrative purposes. I had a note here that Member Colburn was to speak to that. Between the Grey Bruce OPP Detachment Board and the Township of Georgian Bluffs. And it was further to the notice provided by Member Kathy Moore Colburn at the Feb 24 meeting of Grey Bruce OPP Detachment Board. And that is, we're going to defer to Member Colburn.
Thank you, Chair. So my understanding is that it is best practice to have an official formal MOU with the municipality that's offering or has agreed to provide administrative support for the board, that being Georgian Bluffs. And again, we're playing a little bit of catch up. So I think it's maybe not as important for this board to have that, because I think we're sort of feeling our way through roles and responsibilities and our expectations of admin staff. But it certainly will be helpful as a template going forward for the next board. So my hope is that we will pass this motion so that we can have a formal MOU in place that can be used after the next election with the new board, and that board is not starting at square one again. So that is just what I'm asking for. I do note that other police boards have formal MOUs in place. It's highly recommended by our association now, OPG, Ontario Policing Governance. PGO. Right, it's not the power generation, right. PGO, and so I don't, do you want me to read the motion as it is written? Is that what you're looking for, Jerry, or?
Well, we should start, I'm taking kind of out of order. We still have to accept, just let me read. Whereas the Great Bruce OPP Detachment Board recognizes the value of establishing a formal working relationship with the municipality of Georgian Bluffs for administrative support of the board, and whereas such an agreement supports the strategic objectives of the board while establishing a framework for cooperation that clearly outlines roles and responsibilities, and whereas the incoming board be formed later this year would benefit from an existing MOU, therefore it be resolved that the board directs its administrative staff to develop a draft MOU for consideration and approval by the board. On that is, we're not taking a vote yet, but is there a mover and a seconder? Mover is Member Coburn's, seconder is Member Ellis. Now, is there further discussion? Go ahead.
And I apologize to you, Chair. I went into my spiel before the motion was on the floor, so that's my bad entirely. The only other thing I would add, I would add is that the templates is available to us. So we're not even asking staff to start from scratch. Police Governance Ontario has supplied that to us. So it's definitely a starting off point for the MOU.
Any further questions of Member Coburn, or any questions of Member Coburn? There are none. We have a mover and seconder. We've deferred to you. Is there a vote here?
Yep.
All in favor? Opposed, if any? None. It has passed. Approved. Annual Board Self-Assessment Survey. This one I have a little note. We're going to defer to Member Ellis. Further to notice provided by Member Carl Ellis at the November 24th, 2026 meeting of the Grey Bruce OPP Detachment Board. Further to the notice of motion provided by Member Ellis at the March 24th meeting. The recommendation is that the staff be directed to contact the Ontario Association of Police Services Board, which is now a new name, used to be OAPSB, to obtain the annual board self-assessment survey, and that the board determine the timing for completion of the assessment. Is there a mover? Moved by Member Ellis. Seconder is Member Wood. The discussion. All yours, Carl.
Yeah, I'll keep this quick. So one of the things that's helpful for boards, particularly a new board like ours, is to evaluate what we do and how we do it, what's effective, what has it been effective. And I'm hopeful that the Police Governance Ontario has a template. The templates I've seen in the past that are most effective are short, one page at the most, that board members can fill in fairly quickly, and it won't likely benefit us too much, but will provide guidance to the board after the election and some guidance and support for staff as well. So hopefully there's a quick and easy solution that's available without us starting from scratch.
Any questions or discussion on it? You're getting away off, getting off cheap on this one.
Well, I hope so, yeah.
I guess we take it to a vote? Yeah.
Sorry, I just have a question about the last part of the motion that is asking that we determine the timing for completion. Is that to come later, that discussion to come later, or is that happening as part of this discussion?
Yeah, I mean, if they don't have one and we have to seek examples from other police services board and delay timing with it, hopefully it's something that we can do before this board's last meeting so that we have the opportunity to look at the results ourselves.
Well, in effect, what we're trying to do is get as much done between now and October. So that the next board doesn't have too much follow-up. From what I hear, we're doing pretty good. So,
yeah, hopefully the survey reflects that, yeah.
We'll see. All in favor of the, all in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any? Not opposed, it's passed. Number 12, notice of motion, discussion, and inquiries. We're getting close. Are there any notices of motion, discussion, or inquiries that have been provided to the board in advance of this meeting? None that I can see. No bylaws to worry about. There's no closed session, thank goodness. And reporting out of closed session, none, obviously. We're down to the final, and I can read slowly so we can go over the hour and a half. Sorry. Okay. That the date of the next regular meeting is Tuesday, May 26, 2026 at 9 a.m. Is there a mover? Member McQueen, seconder. Member Coburn. All approved? Opposed, if any? None? Adjourned. Look at that, 11:16, and
That's the record.
that's getting close.
Thank you, everyone.